Welcome to the Real Estate Pros of Houston podcast, where host Mark Zachary talks to high-producing real estate agents in the Houston area about their story and what makes them so successful. Each episode, our guests will tell you what they're doing that works and what makes them so successful, as well as insights that will help you take your business to the next level. Now, here's Mark delivering a true real estate pro of Houston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. And today's guest is Ashley Dowell, and she is down in the southern part of Houston, but we'll talk about what areas she serves in a minute. But we're glad to have her on our show today. This show has been around probably 8-9 months, and we get to interview some of the top agents in the area. And the reason that people get on this show is because they have a great reputation of taking great care of their customers. There's a lot of part-time warriors that are good, but they may not take care of their customers as well as the people on our show. So we really want to feature agents that just have a great reputation for what they do in the areas that they serve. And so we found Ashley. And so Ashley, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I really appreciate the invite and having an opportunity to meet with you, Mark, and let everybody know kind of who I am, who my team is, who I serve, and why I'm here. So why I do what I do. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm really thankful. So. Well,
we appreciate you giving us about, we carve out an hour at a time, but normally we'll say, 30, 40 minutes, but you'll be shocked, like I said, before we hit the record button, how fast that goes. So we may end up having to say, hey, Ashley, we didn't get to cover everything. Well, we didn't get to cover everything. We got to have take 2 of Ashley Dowell. So we may have you back down the road if you would let us interview you again. That would be great. Okay. Yeah. Well, I never like these to be too scripted, and I've got a lot of people that say, "Well, I'll be on there," but give me the 10 questions that you're going to ask, and I really don't have a set number of questions. I just have the main question is, tell me your story. We just want to know your story. How long have you been in the Houston area? How long have you been, in the real estate business? Tell us about your family if you feel comfortable doing that. And then I will, look at or hear that and come up with some additional questions. So, that's the one I always start with. Ashley, tell us your story.
Okay. All right. Well, I live in Manville, which is just kind of south of Pearland. I've been out here since 2014, moved down to Texas in 2010 and lived actually coastal in Surfside Beach. And my family, my grandmother owned a restaurant there for over 30 years. And
really?
Yeah, moved down here to get out of the cold, and brought my family with me, and lived at the beach, lived in Surfside until about 2014 when we bought our house and moved out to Manville, and was kind of in between. I had just had our first son, and trying to decide, okay, was I going to go back into my career with design? So I was graduated with a BA in fashion design with an emphasis on graphic design. So I come from a creative background, but my decision was, do I go back into design or do I want to follow another career path? And I chose real estate just because it seemed like something that would work for a new mom, being able to work with people and being in a market that seemed to be growing. So I made the decision to do that and have not regretted it. I think I've going into my 7th year now. And
Really?
yeah. And the initial goal from the beginning was always, I want to invest in real estate. And so I wanted to just get everything I could out of, being in the real estate industry. And then my long-term goal was, building an investment portfolio through real estate. And so, and bringing my family into that as well. So that was my vision from the beginning. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. A couple of years ago, my dad retired. I brought him onto the team and we formed 26.2 Property Group, which, if you're not familiar with 26.2, that is a marathon. My dad and I have been running together, probably going on, maybe 18 years now. If I would do the math correctly, he was a lifelong, athletic person, whether it was rugby or soccer, biking. And then, later in my childhood, it was running. And so in college, he got me into running, and we've been running together ever since. And so when he joined my team, I thought it would only be fitting that, that we kind of market that passion that we share and position it into real estate. So
it's got to immediately attract anybody that runs a marathon or have marathon, because you always see the 26.2 or 13.1 on people's cars.
Right.
And so that's got to attract anybody that's in the running hobby. They know exactly what it is.
Yeah. And, a lot of my clients aren't active like that. It is an acquired taste, but it's interesting to see, at least in my market center over the years, how many other agents have picked up running and planned for their first marathon. And it's exciting to see that. Even my best friend now, she moved down here actually from Wisconsin as well, which is where I moved down from, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She moved down a year after I did. And our whole friendship, I'm always like, oh, I love running. You should give running a try. And, just try it. She's like, no, I'd hate it. And she's flying out to visit her family in California this weekend, and she'll be doing her first half marathon. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it just takes time. It definitely is an acquired taste. But it is something that is part of every single week, if not every single day of my life, and has been, since I was in college. So,
well, you had to have made some incredible memories with your father running with your dad for all these years.
It is. It's
what incredible special times that must.
It is. I've saved all the medals, almost all of the T-shirts, unless they've been destroyed. And it's funny, for Christmas, I gifted him a recreation of a 1996 race that he had run, and it might have been his first marathon. It was White Rock in Dallas, and the shirt was so old and tattered he couldn't even wear it. But he had like two prized marathon shirts, and it was that one, and then when he ran the Boston Marathon, and both of them were just like too tattered and old to wear again. But I found someone to recreate it for me, and it had been years in the making to try to get that recreated for him, and he's worn it probably every week since then. So it's
really,
and and it's a story that he tells all the time, this race and that race, and some of these stories I've heard over and over again, but they never get old. So
no, they never will get old. That's for sure. You mentioned the Rock, and we had my wife has an aunt that does marathons, and she sent us a shirt that said the Rock, because she lived in the Dallas area, and man, I have no idea what happened with that shirt, and I can guarantee you somebody would look at me and say, yeah, you don't run a marathon or a 13 point whatever. It's like, 26.2 or 13.1 is nowhere on my car. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, it's an acquired taste, and you kind of have to be somewhat into, you know, some
Yeah.
sort of self-punishment to sign up for them, because it takes it out of you. But it is such a rewarding feeling to complete events like that.
I'll
And it
bet.
doesn't get old. So, but
How
that's
long do you have to train for a marathon?
halves. I don't have to, I would probably only need maybe about 6 weeks to train for a half, but a full marathon, I might want a couple months. And
Okay.
so I'll pick one out for, I like to, well, I say but my father and I, we always like to pick races away, like if you're going to run distance like that, you might as well go somewhere beautiful and run. So, um,
Oh.
most of the time you pick something out well in advance, you've got your travel plans, and then you just start training, usually like 6 months in advance,
Hmm.
because
Okay.
you do have to dedicate the time to get those miles in during the week. And that is the most challenging part of it, is especially when you have kids and, a
Yeah.
career that requires you being there with your clients on weekends and the evenings. You've got to
Hmm.
find time to make it work. But that is part of the reason why we chose 26.2 Property Group, is because we put that level of, energy into all of our clients' transactions. So we put
Mm.
the same amount of energy that we put into our training, we dedicate that same amount of energy to all of our clients. So
Well, being a realtor, good realtor, it requires months and months and years of training. So
as
I bet you can put some correlation between the two. But this is how we work on the hobby and the athletic side.
right,
But then here's what we do for you on the professional side, and
exactly.
yeah. So I want to get into that in just a second, but I want to know what was your favorite place to go run?
Probably we did the when it ended up being a half marathon in Monterey Bay, California, and
Ah,
um, and my oldest at that time, he was about 18 months old, and now he's 9. He'll be turning 10 at the end of the summer, and then our youngest just turned 5 last week,
you
and
got them running?
I am trying.
Okay.
Also, we did a university run a few months back. It was around Rice University, and that one was
Oh
a really
yeah.
cute run. And I signed them up for the kids dash on that. It was not a hit for our youngest. Our 5-year-old did not like it. Our oldest, he's a little bit competitive, so he got into it. I think, over time I can
Yeah.
I can work him into it. I would love it if they would join, cross country. My dad had always tried to get me into cross country in school, and I was so apprehensive. It's so funny because um, now I'm just like such an outgoing person, and I love meeting people, and I love getting to know people, developing relationships. But as a child, as a kid, as a teenager, I was just not like that at all. And
Really.
I did not want to put myself out there. Everything just kind of, put knots in my stomach, and
Yeah.
um, I didn't want to try, and I regret that because I'm like, I've lost years of running, like
Yeah.
I could have
Yeah.
already run the Boston Marathon by now.
Is that a goal of yours?
I would like it to be a goal. My dad wants me to do it because he ran it, but again, it takes a lot of training, and you have to have, qualifying times for that.
Oh, okay.
And so it would take a lot of dedication. So it's a little bit harder because my kids are so young. We started having kids later, and with, having to dedicate all of the time that goes into training for the Boston, being able to
Yeah.
do all these other marathons to get you to that point, it would be
Man,
hard.
That would take a lot of work and planning for that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
well, good luck on that goal if that's one of them. If it's a priority, but man, just doing what you do is impressive. I hear running is, once you start, it's like a drug. You
it
have
is.
to get out and run every day.
You
So
do.
that's the reason I don't start. I've never done drugs. And
Yeah,
so I don't want to do running as a as a
yeah,
drug either. So
yeah, yeah. But it
I'm
is
gonna
great.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna switch gears on you, and we're gonna talk about um, your real estate business
Hmm.
and how long we talked briefly about how long you've been doing this, but about 7 years, I think is
Hmm.
what I heard.
Right.
So what makes a successful transaction for you in the real estate world?
Well, obviously, getting to the closing table, but getting to the closing table with clients that are happy with the outcome and being able to go back and say, would we have done anything differently? Could we have done anything differently?
Hmm.
Because I'll be honest, the past few years have been challenging,
Yeah.
and everyone in real estate knows that. Um, but I've noticed it's so much harder to make things go as smoothly as you want them to. And whether that's on the buyer side or the seller side, gone are the days when it was just like boom, 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 easy. Oh, that was done. That was
Yeah.
fantastic.
You're right.
Yeah. But it's being able to be there and give your clients everything that they need without even knowing that they need it.
Mm,
Being on top of what possibly could happen, um, you know, resolving issues before they even become a problem, making the transaction as stress free as possible because I mean, it
yeah.
is whether it's investment property, first time home buyers, their fifth, sixth, seventh, 15th rodeo, it's going to be stressful just because,
Yeah.
it is. It's a huge endeavor.
You're involved in a very personal
Mhm.
part of their life. So,
Right, right. So definitely being able to have the foresight, to look at what problems could possibly arise and how to avoid them, and just make it so that your client is able to get through that transaction,
yeah.
without feeling any more added pressure. So,
One thing that we've done and what we use our YouTube channel for a lot is if we get a question more than like twice, we'll
mhm,
go out and shoot a video on that because we know that if two people asked about it, there's probably going to be a third. So
right.
let's just answer it in video and put it out there to where it's that answer is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can go out and we use a system called what is it? Keywords Everywhere,
Uh-huh.
and Keywords Everywhere tells you what people are searching for. So a
Mhm.
lot of times we'll look at what are the questions people are asking, and let's go answer those questions. So when they look for that answer, they're going to find me and my YouTube channel answering it for them. So
Right.
it's a great way to market yourself, and kudos to you for making sure you're setting the stage from the beginning about what's going to happen. We hope it's stress free, but that's not it's not real likely that everything in this whole transaction something's going to have a little snag. Maybe it's the appraiser that's taken forever to get it back, or
Right.
maybe he comes back $1,000 less than sales price. So what happens then? So
Right.
there's just so many things that you have to kind of have the conversation with them about here's where we're at, and here's the situations that could come out of that.
Right.
Ashley, do you have much repeat business from clients you've worked with for years, or maybe business that referrals are coming from that business? Do you
Right.
get a lot of referrals?
I do. Yeah. I have a lot of repeat. That's the majority of my business is repeat clients and referrals. I
Yeah.
don't do, like I said, I don't do any sort of cold calling lead generation. The majority of my production comes from my repeat clients. And, what's great about that is we've established these relationships.
Hmm.
I'm there with them year after year, transaction after transaction, and really being able to be part of those huge milestones. And
Yeah.
the added bonus of when they have friends or family colleagues that are looking for an agent, they send them my way. So I already know that it's going to be a a good relationship because it's coming
Hmm.
from an already really strong relationship. So typically,
Yeah.
birds of a feather flock together. So when you've got, a good a good person, who
Yeah.
meshed
You
with,
want more people like that.
right, chances are you're gonna be able to have a positive experience with whoever they're referring. And so far, knock on wood, uh,
Yeah.
that's what I've gotten. So I do I do get, a number of sign calls if I have listings out. So and I will have people who are searching for local agents look at my reviews on HAR and everything
Hmm.
like that. And that is that's always positive because I do have, really good reviews and feedback from my relationships that I've developed with all of those clients. So one
Yeah.
of one of my goals moving forward is to really focus on a lot more social media and Google reviews, having
Yeah.
a presence outside of HAR reviews and things like that. I just typically kind of stick with those HAR reviews, but I do know that Google reviews are important, and a strong social media presence is really important. So,
We just made a push on that yesterday
mhm.
to try to get more. We're up to 50 reviews,
Oh, good for you.
and it's crazy that you do such a great job for everybody, but once they close,
Mhm.
they're focused on moving in and all that. So we've adjusted when we ask for the review, and
Mhm.
it's when we get their clear to close. Everybody's super excited.
Right.
Hey, we're all done, but I need you to do this for me now. Can you
Right.
give us a Google review? And they're much more likely to do it at that time
Right.
versus sending it after the closing and congratulations and all, because they've got a stack of papers that big, and
Yeah.
they're concerned about that. So, but they're a big deal. I
It
mean,
is a big deal. Yeah. Especially with, the millennials and, Gen Xers, like it's just that having an online presence and a review, like something to go back to is crucial. Like you have to
yeah.
have it. Yeah.
I'm surprised that with just fixed 50 that we have so far, we get probably 2 calls a week
Hmm.
from people that found us on Google. And I'm like,
Right.
well, that's actually more than I thought we would get. So,
Right.
there's eight, let's just say, 8 people a month
Hmm.
that we have the opportunity to visit with, simply because Google is working for us 24/7.
Yeah.
So they're super important. So I'm
Yeah.
going to back up to. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that you do have to lean into that, and moving forward, we're going to have to adapt even more so, and really lean into the technology side of everything. If you haven't already, uh,
Yeah,
it's crucial, just because that's your only option with staying
yeah.
relevant. And yeah,
It's where people are nowadays. If you're not online, you're
right.
missing out on a great opportunity. And you and I know I can't compete with the marketing dollars of Wells Fargo.
Right.
And more than likely, you can't compete with the marketing dollars of Keller Williams or these big companies, or Zillow and all. But what I like to say is, yeah, I can't compete with them on that level,
Hmm.
but they can't compete with me on my service level. But
Right.
unless I let everybody know what my service level is through my Google reviews,
Hmm.
they don't know what my service is like.
Right. Exactly.
So we have to be able to compete and dominate in the areas that we excel in,
Mhm.
and count on the
Relationship building and
yeah,
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 yeah.
and let all the other people fight over the transaction
Right.
focused
I
realtor,
agree. Yeah, I agree.
because they're there, and they don't, the transaction focused realtors and lenders don't get referrals from their database and past
Right.
clients because they don't stay in touch with them.
Hmm. Right.
Right? They close the deal, they get the check, and then they're off to try to get the next deal. So that was going to be my next follow up question. Do you have an Excel spreadsheet or a certain CRM that you like, that you use to
Honestly,
stay in
I
touch?
don't. I have not been able to find a CRM that works seamlessly for me. I've bounced back and forth between a number of them, but
Hmm.
and I am with Keller Williams. I've been with Keller Williams, since the beginning, but I do, I've established my own team at this point, and
Yeah,
um, but and we are offered a CRM through there that we're encouraged to use. But to answer your question, no, honestly, it's all just organic. And like I
yeah,
said, it's these relationship buildings. Like I authentically care about what my clients are up to, and I follow up. We text, we meet up, we call, and it's not just a transaction for me. Like this is a new
yeah,
relationship that I've added to my growing circle of friends. And and I genuinely do care about their life and what's going on. We stay communicate through social media. Like I said, we meet up a
hmm,
couple of times a year, and it just keeps expanding. Now, at
yeah,
some point, if I do continue to grow at the rate that I'm growing, I will have to lock into a CRM that I'm really happy with. But I would say Follow Up Boss is probably one that I lean a little bit more towards. But even that, it's hard for me to lock into it
yeah.
100%. So what about
That's
you?
that's not the one that Keller
No,
offers,
they
is
offer
it?
Command, which we
Okay.
still we still have to use Command, to uh, get documents moving forward, and
Yeah.
all of the compliance side of everything. But
Okay.
in terms of having your clients on some sort of funnel or campaign, I
Hmm.
don't utilize it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I find that a lot of agents, mainly the ones that are transactional, they don't keep anything at all,
right,
and so this business ought to get easier and easier the longer you're in it, so
right.
we can, because all these people that you did such a great job for,
Mhm.
they ought to remember you, but they don't unless you stay in touch with them. But we
Right.
use one called Get Bonzo, and
Hmm.
I think, yeah, they've got a realtor format as well. They've got insurance, and then loan officer stuff, and it allows to text and email and things like that. But we send birthday cards, we send Christmas cards, and things like
Right.
that. But
Yeah.
man, it's staying in touch is crucial.
It is very crucial, and making those calls, and like you're saying, sending those cards. I do holiday pop bys. I do a couple annual events,
Yeah.
to keep up with my clients throughout the year. But
Okay.
and those are expanding. And at some point, I will expand further and do add another client event, because with having a business that is repeat clients and referrals, I'm not locked into a specific area. Like I literally go where the business is. And
Yeah.
when I lived in Surfside Beach, I got once I got into real estate, I was still really familiar with that market. I was still really familiar with that area. So I had established clientele, referral based clientele down there. But now I've expanded out to Houston, Katy, Cypress, all
Wow, you're drifting a long way away from
yeah.
home.
Yeah. And even for family and friends, because once you're licensed in Texas, you can, sell anywhere. I've sold in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Canyon
Really?
Lake. Yeah. And a couple properties in Canyon Lake and San Antonio. Yeah.
Love Canyon Lake.
Yes. Yes, we do too. So
Yeah. Well, very cool. So what are some challenges that you're having right now in the business? What are you seeing out there?
well, inventory for one, interest
Hmm.
rates, and inventory, they kind of run neck and neck. We obviously came from a seller's market for such a long time that it's been hard to get back into it being more of a buyer's market. I mean, it's great to be a buyer, but it's not great to be a buyer because the inventory isn't there. But
Yeah.
for being able to negotiate the best possible transactions for my buyers, it's a great time. My sellers, not so much. Obviously homes were kind of sitting there. We not a lot of activity, which is always discouraging. But just longer time on the market, days on market, and the you can kind of feel the energy starting to shift. That,
Yeah.
which it
I
always
agree.
does once we get out of the holiday season and we get, towards the end of Q1, you start to feel it. And
Right.
and so the anticipation from what I'm hearing, from my market center, from brokers, other lenders, other agents, it's that, the market is going to shift again. We're going to start to see a lot more activity, and you could feel it.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if you're experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny. This week we've had more loan apps entered in our system than we have in a while, and
Right,
it's you're exactly right. It's the Q1 thing is kind of it's an indicator of what's going to happen in Q2 and 3
right,
because everybody's getting ready, and thank God they are. Rates are drifting downward, and we're back down into the mid fives again.
right,
So I hear all these people that say, "Man, I can't wait till they get back down to the upper threes and fours." And I've
right.
been doing this 30 years, 31 years as of May, and I'm like, you know what? This is normal now.
Yeah.
This has always been the normal, and the last 2 to 3 years at 2 and 3 and 4%,
Mhm.
that wasn't normal. And be careful what you ask for because every time you ask for lower rates,
Mhm.
that brings a new group of buyers into
Right.
the
You're
market that you now
right.
have to compete
You
with.
have to compete with. Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
may not have the cash available to compete with them because they've got more cash, and that's what drove the prices up so high.
No.
Is because the rates were so low
Right.
that it pulled everybody out.
Yeah. And that's it's discouraging. Like I said, it's a great time to be a buyer right now because you really feel like you can do something for your buyers. You really feel like, I can get the best possible deal for you. I can get them to come down on that sales price. I can get them to,
Yeah,
consider a contribution or to really consider those repairs and things like that. It
yeah,
puts you in a stronger position for that. But once we get back into that really aggressive market where sellers are getting everything that they want out of the transaction, it's
yeah.
discouraging the buyers that we had to write 15 offers for, and time after time we're up against 25 other buyers. I mean, it was a hard time. It was
It was not fun. It
no.
was not fun. I
Yeah, it
mean, there
was
were so many people that came in and they were excited, and
mhm,
and you could see them just getting beat
yeah.
down, and then they finally like, forget it. I just don't
Yeah.
want to do
Yeah, I'll
this
just wait. I'm
anymore.
gonna rent and, wait to see what happens and come back. And that, I mean, it is what it is. The market is gonna do that. And everybody has to adjust and we get through it. But yeah, it's when you do develop those relationships with your clients and you do care so much about providing them a quality experience and being able to, be part of making their dreams come true,
Yeah.
solving for them, it is hard. It is hard to be part of that disappointment, but it also just makes all of those wins so much better because you can't
Yeah.
appreciate, any of the good things that are happening if you haven't experienced some of the disappointments. So
Yeah. Was there ever a time in your career, and I don't remember if I asked you how long you've been doing this, but any time in your career that you're like, man, I just don't want to do this anymore? Was it during COVID when things were so crazy
uh
now people were making a lot of money, but
yeah,
you know,
it was a lot of
it,
work.
it was a lot of work.
I can't say that I've ever thought about getting out of it. I've had a couple of transactions that, of course, have not gone how you wished they would. But it it has opened my eyes to being able to set up boundaries where previously I was just so eager to, bend over backwards for a lot of clients. And, you need me there, no problem, because I'm a problem solver. I want to be there, whatever you need. I know this is stressful. I'm the one who's had the experience, that kind of mindset. And really people not certain personality types not understanding that you can't keep asking and keep asking and keep asking. So for me, my takeaways from that were definitely having some boundaries put up to where, like, okay, I do have a life outside of this particular transaction that we're working together. I can't be taking
Yeah.
calls and texting at 10 o'clock at night, and you can't turn around and start messaging me at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, it's just, I have to have some boundaries. And,
Yeah.
and that's, and again, every year that you go into it, the more you learn, and the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about people as a whole. And, you're just an observer of life and experiences, and, getting stronger and better at what your passion is. So.
Well, I had a guy that I listened to, and he was talking about boxers, and he says,
Mhm.
even boxers don't, box for 12 straight rounds.
Right.
They'll fight for 3 minutes, and then they take a break. They
Right.
don't fight nonstop. So you being able to set your boundaries is key, because you would burn out so
Right.
fast,
Right.
and it would affect so many other things in your life, your relationships with
Yeah. And it did.
family, and it,
It,
it can, yeah, it can be
yeah.
a horrible thing to not set those boundaries. And that's another reason that we have the get good CRM, because I can set the boundaries and identify the people that kept going over the
Right.
boundary with me.
Right. Right.
And those people we don't communicate with anymore, because I don't want more people like that.
Right. Yeah.
Because you said it
Yeah.
was dead on. The birds of feather flock together. It's like, yep, that guy's going to refer
I'll
more
be okay to
people
let
like
this
that.
relationship go. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Well, what are three non-negotiables in your business? What has to happen today, once a day, or once a week, or once a month, or maybe once a year? You have a getaway where you get alone, and you decide, hey, this is what I'm going to focus on this next year. What are three non-negotiables for you? And they can be either business or personal.
I would say, my non-negotiable is, like I said before, like setting boundaries and establishing,
Yeah.
with my clients from the get-go, like, we're not going to be um, wish-washy about, anything could work and anywhere could work, and, whatever. I'm just like, we're going to be more specific about what the search is. And if we're not on the same page, and it doesn't seem like we're ever going to get to that page, I'm going to be okay with terminating a relationship that I don't feel is going to be beneficial. So, the boundaries is going to be key moving forward. Also being able to, I'm really focused on my family. I have 2 younger children. I'm very involved with my parents. Like I said, my dad is on my team, but he's getting older. Health concerns are going to be there in the future. And so like there will have to be, a fine balance of how much production do I want to take on, because people can only be spread so thin. And
especially if you're driving up to Cyprus.
right, exactly. Yeah. And so, letting myself be okay with letting some possible business go, because I can't do everything. And I would just say, possibly moving forward with starting to focus so much more on social media, really getting some sort of system once I've established that, my new routine with social media and my new strategy with that, having a system in play that's going to allow me to maintain that consistency without disrupting the personal side of my life. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Oh, what would I do differently? I don't ever like to go back and say this is what I would have done differently, because if something would have changed, you don't ever know the outcome. I think experiencing, like I said before, appreciating the both the positives and the negatives of everything, is what is creating your gratitude for where you're at, and just allowing what's to come. So I would not, I guess if I could change anything, if I would have found some sort of system that worked for my, my style, because I'm not, a hard line ABCD, super organized, time management, blocking, all of that. It's not my personality. Like I have a very organic, fluid, style of working. And and I'm still struggling to find those systems and models that I can seem to get to mesh with. But, that would be the only thing. Maybe not have so hard on branding, and focus more on, strategy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, when do you, we'll kind of start wrapping up here, but what kind of legacy do you want to leave for your family and your clients, or when do you see yourself walking away? Is it going to be selling your business or just kind of shutting it down? But more importantly, what kind of legacy are you trying to build, and what's the one that you want to leave for your kids? I
Yeah.
mean, I think we do
Yeah.
everything for our kids. I know I did.
We do everything for our kids and our family. I agree.
Yeah.
When I got in, like I had stated before, when I got into real estate, my vision was, an investment portfolio in real estate. And that's still my goal. That's my 2024 goal is, starting that endeavor and growing that. And what I would like to see, when my kids, get out of school, if they choose to go on, to higher education. If not, if they want to get into real estate, then I'm handing something over to them that they've been involved with from the beginning. Because when I was just the one son, I used to take him on open houses and appointments, and I had a little shirt for him that said #KidRealtor. And then when I was pregnant, I mean, I literally was still working the day that I went into labor. I was still working on a transaction. And
oh my gosh, Ashley.
I know. And as soon as we were ready to get out the door, he was with me on listing appointments, and up until the point where I'm like, okay, it took about, I think it was probably about month 3 or 4 was when I got childcare. It was in-home childcare, and we had her probably and she was a lifesaver. You talk about, COVID and how things were. If I did not have, shout out to Jazzy, if I didn't have Jazzy at that point,
Yeah.
as how I did, I would not have been able to have been so successful during
Yeah.
that super busy time. She was crucial to that. And so were my parents, my mom and my dad, and even my husband, and he's trying to run his HVAC business. So we're both entrepreneurs. We both have goals in the future for being able to have some sort of legacy for our kids. And I would like to see that, his business and my business merge, our family expands, with, maybe my brother and sister-in-law and my other brother. Like, it is a family endeavor that we're building, a legacy that for generations. So.
Yeah, well, that's special. I had a broker shop in Round Rock, Texas, and because I'm from the Austin area.
Okay.
I was born in West Texas. We moved to Austin when I was just 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
so I spent most of my life in Austin. And when I had my shop in Round Rock, which is just north of Austin, I had my pastor working for me, my uncle, and my sister. We were all in the same room. It wasn't a real big office, but we all sat there and could see each other all day long. But it was so much fun. We had such a good time building that business. And there's something special about building a business with your family. And
I agree.
I mean, you working with your dad and being able to work close with your husband and doing it for the family is very special.
Yeah,
So,
that's what it's all about. And that was, when we moved to Surfside, like I said, my grandmother had owned a restaurant there for over 30 years. And growing up, I witnessed her take one, and it was her and my grandfather up until he passed away. But even after he passed away, like, she continued to expand, her enterprise. She had, multiple lots and then beach houses and, really continued to grow the successful business that, was able to help serve our family, so many other families in that area, and made a huge impact on an economy there. And, and that's being part of a community, being part of a strong family, like having values, putting towards a shared goal. When you are fortunate enough to have that, I know not everybody does. And I'm, forever grateful that I've, been raised by such strong families. And, but yeah, being able to provide something with and for your children is what's most important. Parents.
Yeah, and it's so cool because to be involved with an industry that I forgot the number of jobs that you create just by the sale of one house.
Right.
And you are contributing to not only your family, you're contributing to hundreds of families.
Right.
And that makes me feel very very satisfied with what I do, even though it can be very stressful at times. We have to always think back that this can be stressful, but I am helping somebody get into a house that they may never have gotten into had I not done this or had I not done that. And so thank people like you. I say thank you to people like you for doing what you do, because I know you drive around town. You got this crazy Houston traffic that you got to deal with, and then you got to come home and be mom. And man, it's just like, how do you do it? I get, like I said before we hit the record button, I get to sit in this office all day long, and I get to punch the keyboard and talk on the phone, and you guys have to get out there and make it happen. So thank you for being one of the ones that makes it happen.
Right. Well, I love it. Like I said, I've chosen this career, and I don't regret it. And, I have visions for where I want it to go, and being able to, like I said, develop those relationships and add more wonderful people to my circle and help them be part of their dreams is what it's about. So, yeah.
All right. Well, here's the lightning round. There's some quick questions, and we'll get quick answers, and then we'll wrap up and let you get on with your day. But who is your favorite author or speaker?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Okay. Why is that?
I am obsessed with Harry Potter and have been, since the inception. I've massive collection. I love her ability to storytell and create the world the world changing, vision that she did through her storytelling. And she's, female. I love to support, any female who's successful. And, but yeah, J.K. Rowling.
Okay, I guess I'll have to get on board and get with my daughter, because she's like, Dad, you got to see these movies. I'm like, no, I just can't.
Yeah. Well, read the books first. Read the books first, and then see the movies. Yeah.
Now, did you like the movies as much as you did
I
the
do.
book?
I love everything. All the books, all the movies.
Okay.
There's nothing about it that I don't love.
Very cool. Well, okay. You talked me into it. I don't know if I'll read the book. Is it on audio?
Yeah, audiobooks. Yeah, and I have
my collection. A ton of books.
Yeah. You can do Audible if you're on Audible. But I have actual, from the very beginning, my audio collection where it's the cassette. I have cassettes and CDs. And I'll have multiple copies of that. I've got original paperbacks, hardbacks, multiple copies of those, and the Audible copies as well, digital copies. So,
well, we may have to do a separate podcast to explain what a cassette is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're talking about having to mail out, the hard copies, and I'm like, cassettes and floppies, and
right. And I guess I could even bring back. This will be dating, putting an age on me, but I guess we can go back to and talk about 8-tracks.
Yeah, 8-tracks. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, your favorite vacation spot?
Colorado. My dream vacation spot would probably be Switzerland.
I have never been, but man, I see all these reels and these cars are driving through these little villages. I'm like, oh my gosh, that just looks like heaven.
It does, yeah. The mountains are where it's at for me. Streams, lakes, mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your favorite pastime or hobby?
Running.
Well, that was a stupid question, wasn't it?
Yeah. Running and yoga, and focusing on just making time for myself, because for me, it's all about having the calm within myself to be able to take and spread that calm and love outward. So, you have to focus on centering your energy before you can center anything else. So, and running and yoga, meditation, energy healing stuff, that whole side of everything. That's for me where I find my peace. So.
Okay. All right. Last one. Favorite sports team?
Ooh, I'm not a sports person, so I guess I would say the Astros. So
okay,
yeah, I do go to
good answer.
Yeah, I do go to Astros games. So
okay,
yeah, and then the Green Bay Packers. So
yeah. Okay, I'll have to dive into that later, but that's okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, Ashley, we'll go ahead and wrap everything up, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show, and thank you for doing what you do in this industry and the market in which you serve, and can't thank you enough for being a guest on my podcast.
I appreciate it, Mark. It was a wonderful experience. And, I look forward to working with you in the future, and I'll get some clients sent over and continue this relationship. So
yeah, sounds good. We would love to have you back. We'll probably touch base with you, every so often, but we'd love to have you back as a guest to see, hey, what's going on in your world now, and how's the market working for you, and how did you do in the last marathon or half marathon that you ran?
Okay.
So,
all right, I'm doing a 10K in Surfside Beach next Saturday, so that'll be just a little over 6 miles. And then I'll pick out a spring half and hopefully, a fall or winter full marathon.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And you're making me tired. You're making me tired even thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, you can relax and listen to Harry Potter. So.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I know that the music is fantastic. So.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'm gonna try to start one of those. Maybe this weekend. So
that's a great idea.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.
Right. You too. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, listen, I'm Mark Zachary. I'm the broker and owner of Next Step Home Loans, and we do financing all over Texas. So if you have any questions on, getting pre-approved or just what's the process, that's what we do. Man, can't thank Ashley enough for being part of the podcast. And we'll have it out, put it on our YouTube channel and Spotify and iHeartRadio and all these different places that you can listen to it or watch it. That's why we do StreamYard, so people can watch if they want to, or they can just listen to it if they want to do that in the car. So anyway, thanks again, Ashley, for being a part of this show. And we appreciate everybody watching. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and check out our main website at nextstephomeloans.com for more information on mortgage news, loan programs, and getting pre-approved for a home loan or set up a quick home buying consultation. We'll see you next week with another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston.